slut.
Well, it's mainly directed towards women.
What comes to mind immediately is someone who kind of dresses provocatively.
As little as possible, showing as much skin as possible.
Short skirts, tits out.
Low tops.
Someone who sleeps around.
Someone who is easy and would sleep with someone on a night out.
No, definitely not. I definitely wouldn't go out with a slut.
When you go back to the foundation of the college, which was around the turn of the century, 1898, 1900, that whole name, that whole dedication to Mary and the Immaculate Conception would have been quite fresh in people's minds.
When people think of Mary I, like, they think of Mary Dry.
When I think of Mary I girls, I suppose I think of them as dry.
We'd be considered like less crack than other people, that we study a lot more and we don't go out as much.
But I don't think that's very true. I think we're just more the same as everyone else, but maybe Mary I is a bit more upstanding.
Yeah, lack of going out really, lack of social life.
Don't think there's a typical type of student that attends Mary I. I do think there's certain stigmas externally outside of the college that people have various perceptions of females that go here. The usual things you would hear would be like, oh, they're really intelligent, they're really pretty, they're always done up. That kind of stuff comes along with, I suppose, the reputation that Mary I has had for a very long time.
It's hard to define what a particular type of female student is. I mean, everyone is different, so everyone is an individual. So in my opinion, you can't really brand anyone a particular type of student.
In social occasions where I am with students, I find that Mary I students are very courteous, they're very well behaved, they're basically nice people.
Sometimes I do think that the perceptions outsiders have on Mary I females does put pressure on the students to maybe upkeep that kind of standard of, oh, you know, always being dressed really well, always having their makeup done and their hair done and being very intelligent. But I think there's other elements that actually affect that before they even come into college. I think, you know, social media nowadays, you have pictures of models and like, you know, what you're supposed to wear and what you're supposed to look like. And so before they even get into college, I think that pressure exists.
First year, you want to make an impression. So you dress really well, both men and women in the college. Like the guys would wear shirts and stuff like that, but then as you see, as years go by, it kind of changes to t-shirts. The girls put on a lot of makeup in the first year and wear really nice dresses, but then as years go by, they're just happy to wear jeans and maybe a blouse going out instead of putting on high heels for the whole night.
So I think the difference maybe with first year students and with fourth year students is that by fourth year, you're no longer trying to impress everyone or leave a certain impression or a reputation of any kind. You're happier with yourself and you're much more confident to say, look, I'm not happy with that, I don't like that.
When you come into first year, you're kind of experimenting in a way. You're free from life at home, you're living by yourself the first time ever. You kind of let go in a sense. When it comes to fourth year, you need to focus on your studies, you're kind of more grounded. So first year, I'd say, is a more experimental year. You're a different person in first year than you are in fourth year.
In terms of college, I do think that it has an important role in people's lives. It is a very formative period of a person's life.
They'll be starting to further educate themselves to hopefully attain the careers that they want, but they're also going into it with the view that college life is also, for many of them, will be their first taste of freedom away from home, and there's going to be wonderful new experiences.
It's just such a tricky thing to define, like what is a slut.
I suppose the common perception of a slut would be somebody that sleeps around, is not very respectful of themselves, maybe dresses in a particular way, you know, but it is very much a stereotype, and you can't say it's somebody that wears short skirts, because you can have a particularly glamorous person, you know, in a short skirt that is not slutty, you know, so it is a combination of factors really.
When they come from secondary school to third level, you're 18 years of age, you're just newly legal, is what you're told. Because that's the whole thing. When you're growing up, you always want to be 18. You want to be allowed to go out and you want to be allowed to go drinking. And along with that comes the pressures of you want boys to like you. So what do boys like? And to be fair, girls don't really know what boys like themselves 100%. They're looking at Facebook, you're looking at television shows. You've got things like Geordie Shore and Jersey Shore that have shown girls half-dressed, getting really drunk and acting a certain way. And if you're a young person, you're very vulnerable to believe that these things are what's accepted.
For girls, I think especially, they dress how they feel. It's just like, if you want to feel good and feel sexy, then you'll wear something really nice that you think you look good in, and that you know you look good in, and that your friends think and have said that you look good in.
I think it's a really bad perception that young males and young females have nowadays, that, oh, she's dressed with barely any clothing on, she's definitely looking for something tonight. That's not necessarily fair.
I don't think that there's any kind of like instance where just because you wear something you can be branded anything like whore or slut, because it's up to your own self to wear what you want to wear. No one can tell you that you cannot wear a certain type of clothing.
It's one of those things I think that you have to learn, and that you really do learn in third level, is that you have to like yourself first. It's really important for a girl to look in the mirror and say, okay, I may not look like Kendall Jenner, but I look like me, and that's good enough, and I don't have to dress in a certain manner if I'm not comfortable with it. Or maybe I do like short dresses, and I do like certain, you know, I might like crop tops and mini skirts, and I like them on me, and that's okay too.
You should be able to wear whatever you want to wear, and there should be no stigma attached to what you wear, and no matter what you wear, you're never asking for it.
The lads have a lot to answer for in that regard as well, because the lad that respects a girl to dress normally and in normal clothing, I would have much more of a higher opinion of than the guy who looks at the girl with the short dress walking by and goes, watch her walking, kind of thing, with the little wink that can happen.
Why it's more acceptable for guys to be sexual than girls? Male stereotyping again, and what we've always been taught over the years, is that boys will be boys.
There is definitely a double standard. I think you do see it in the college environment as well. Girls can be branded as a slut, where she might have, for instance, maybe slept with 3 guys from a certain group. But if the opposite way around, a guy had slept with 3 girls from a group, he'd be like high fives all around with all his friends. But the girl would be made to feel ashamed of herself, because it's just not apparently socially acceptable for women.
When it comes to males and sex, it's considered like a good thing to have 6 or 7 female partners, whereas with women then it's considered dirty or slut if they have anything more than 1 or 2.
Like, if you think of a girl who plays around, you think of the word slut automatically, whereas you kind of think like a boy who plays around, there's no real set term associated with a boy who plays around. He's just, you know, he gets lucky or whatever.
I think men are more sexually free than women, yeah.
I do think men have more sexual freedom. I'm not really sure why though.
I think men definitely think they have more sexual freedom, but they shouldn't, like.
I think like women being more sexually free, I think it's about time it really happened, because like you see it going back in history, like women would have to wear, like there'd be strict rules and regulations for women, and what clothing they'd have to wear, and what was deemed appropriate and inappropriate for women to wear.
I think if somebody feels comfortable with their own sexuality, confident, respectful of themselves and of the people they are engaging in sex with, that's sexual freedom.
I think it is about time women will be allowed, maybe allowed is probably the wrong word to use, but it's a good thing that's happening, that women are becoming more expressive in their bodies.
On nights out, inappropriate touching and groping goes on a lot, and I think it's probably the fact that everyone is drunk and it's such a dark area, like you can't even see who's doing it.
Guys just think, oh, it's dark and everyone's doing it, so it's okay, like.
Lad inside in the club, he'd be with his friends and he'd touch a girl's arse, no problem at all, like.
I suppose you get the odd bum squeeze from a passerby and things like that.
And it's just normalised now, like if it happens to girls, I think that they don't do anything about it. They just get over it, like, 'cause it happens so much now. You couldn't really get too upset over it, which is sad because it's so normalised.
But I think females have accepted too much objectification recently in the last couple of years because we think that's the norm.
Very personal opinion that there isn't a woman alive, and that there are a fair few men that have actually not experienced sexual harassment in their lifetime.
It's not okay to like grope someone just because it's in a nightclub setting. Like as I said, like you wouldn't do it in a place like Tesco, so why should you do it in a nightclub?
There are certain things that can kind of, I suppose, change people's perceptions on what's acceptable, and that could be like they're drinking too much, they don't realise what they're doing, or they've taken something that makes them act inappropriately.
Does alcohol impact on that? It certainly does, you know, because people's thinking is blurred. Their perceptions and awareness of what other people are thinking and feeling are totally askew usually at that stage too.
I've seen instances where someone has touched someone else inappropriately and they laugh it off. That person automatically thinks that, oh, they found that funny. That's a ha-ha moment, but they weren't corrected, so they didn't know it was wrong. So that person will go on to do it to someone else.
If I asked a guy in a nightclub to leave, 99% of the time he won't know what he's done or why. He'll panic. It'll either be panic or anger, like why or what did I do, and almost kind of look around to grab onto the first thing they can is just to brew it in like that so they can get their point across, because a lot of the time their point isn't heard, so they'll just have the fear like they've been thrown out wrongly and their night, they just see their night gone before their eyes kind of. But like about 80% of the time we know exactly what they've done. We've seen it, or the cameras, or it's been put into the earpiece, and just that guy has to go for doing this.
Be aware of it and maybe don't drink as much the next time. Know your limits and know how much you can consume without like landing yourself in trouble.
Telling them what they've done wrong when they're drunk really doesn't work. I didn't do that, you did, and then you're just talking to the wall, and it's not fun.
The nightclub environment, it's almost like a different world in its own inside in any nightclub. If you accept a drink off someone, they're probably thinking that I'm going to try and take this person home with me.
If a boy buys a girl a drink on a night out, then he's doing it like because he obviously likes her or whatever, so he's going to try and get places. But like, I think they think as well that the girl will feel kind of obliged because they bought them a drink. Like,
saying it's kind of like almost buying you.
Usually, I'd say 90% of them have an agenda. They're not buying you a drink at its expensive price today just for nothing. They're either drunk or they want something.
A lot of the times a guy could just be nice and just like buying you a drink just to be nice and have the chats with you, but I'd say the majority of the time they're like, you know, they're chancing you, like, and if you accept it then you're like going with it.
I don't think they feel entitled, but they probably think they get something out of it. Like.
But it depends on the person that I'd meet, but I would think that it would just be being friendly, like it's only a drink, it's not that major.
I suppose if that someone is a boy you've been talking to that you don't know, I suppose they're trying to kind of sweeten you up a bit, maybe try to, you know, show that they're interested and maybe possibly for things to go further.
I do think it's a learning process, and that it's all about growth and learning to find that maturity and to find that stage where you go, no, that's my boundary line, I'm not okay with that. And if I say I'm not okay with it, then you have to stop.
In my opinion, like just because you buy a drink for someone doesn't mean you can sleep with them. It doesn't mean you can kiss them.
No means no, and it doesn't matter if somebody is maybe considering consenting to sex, but then changes their mind even at the last minute and says no. No means no.
In my opinion, a girl could go out topless and she's not asking for it. As in, like if a girl says no, it's no. Same if a guy says no. It's no.
Girls are always the ones that are warned more. Girls are always told, you know, oh, you can't wear that because that means a man is going to look at you in a certain way. And I don't think it's pushed enough that boys should be like, okay, that girl is wearing something very short, but it's not my place to comment or pass judgment. So I think that's why it's overall on both sides of the spectrum. Education needs to come in more so at every level to show both sides what is respecting others and what's respecting yourself.
From a campus point of view, I think there definitely has to be more done. The question of consent should definitely be a thing that everyone is brought into, whether it's seminars or whatever, in first year and first semester, because it is a very important topic, and like you need to know like when it's either yes or when it's no. More importantly, no.
It's definitely a topic that we're aware of. Like, I mean, consent and sexual health, it's been around for a while, but I think it's coming more to the front of as one of the bigger issues. But in order for us to be able to actually do something, we'd need the students to mandate us to do that.
I know that has been discussed. It's been discussed a number of times. It is an issue because nobody's too sure what constitutes consent and what doesn't, and there's confusion around it. I'm not aware that Mary I has plans to actually introduce that particular course. It probably has a value. It seems to have a value. Trinity seems to think it has a value. There's other ways of looking at that as well. I mean, sometimes people, and particularly parents, may not wish people to do those courses as well. So you've got two sides to that particular issue.
Being in Mary I Students' Union as the Vice President, I've definitely seen more of what the college actually does for sexual health awareness and for different things like that. Personally, the Students' Union, we always have a Sexual Health Awareness Week each semester, so it's all about giving information to students if any of them want to drop in and have a chat, if they have any concerns. Our door is always open. We have an open door policy that if they ever need to ask any questions or to get anything from us, we can get that for them. There's different things like there's the counselling service, there's the student parent support service, there's the health promotion office which does a weekly newsletter about different areas such as alcohol abuse, drugs abuse and sexual health. There's lots of different things that are there for the college.
There are a whole range of services, a whole suite of services like student support services, which are there largely to support students. And if, for instance, students find themselves in a difficult situation with regard to a relationship, with regard to kind of sexual issues around harassment or whatever it is, all of those services are very willing to help insofar as they can.
I think it's a taboo more so than anything else that we're not allowed to do these things because of the Catholic ethos. We are allowed to do certain things, it's just that we have to be respectful as well of the ethos of the college, because it's important that we know that there's a boundary. Like everything else within this area and this topic, there's always a boundary. But there is ways, if the students wanted us to do something, we would most definitely do whatever we could about it.
I think more education all around. As in, I think men probably definitely need it more than women would, because obviously if women are going to express themselves, then they're going to express themselves. But it just from the male side, it has to be like, look, like just because a woman is wearing like revealing clothing doesn't make her an object for you to go and pester, basically. Like, as in, we're allowed to wear what we want, guys wear what they want, so why can't girls do the same? It is definitely an educational thing, and I think it's probably how you're brought up as well, and who you're around when you're growing up. Because obviously if you're in a male-dominated household, you don't have the female influence. So you wouldn't really see the female perspective of things.
I think our expectation would be that the women and the men who go out from here would be educated, that they would know what they were doing, that they would have a sense of independence, that they would have a sense of their own autonomy, that they would be able to critique things and have a kind of a critical mind about a whole lot of issues, and that out of that would come a certain awareness of how one is to be in different situations.
Both females and males need to be educated on it. I don't think it's specifically more the lads' fault. I don't think it's specifically more the girls' fault. But I think there's like a disconnect or a divide in certain people's understandings of where that line is drawn on what's acceptable behaviour and what's not.
It's not about how they present themselves, what clothes they wear, whether they're drunk or not. It is about a perpetrator's self-permission to perpetrate rape or sexual abuse on another human being, and that's where that's where the education really needs to go.
My name is no, my sign is no, my number is no. You need to let it go, you need to let it go, need to let it go. I to the no, no, no. My name is no, my sign is no, my number is no. You need to let it go, need to let it go, need to let it go. I to the no, no, no. First you're gonna say you ain't running game, thinking I believe your boy ain't giving up. Lick